Thank you for staying with us. With just about 24 hours until the coronation of King Charles III, preparations are in top gear to ensure a hitch-free ceremony. Audiences across the world are counting down to witness the symbolic day. The ceremony is to hold at Westminster Abbey on Saturday, May the 6th, and the king, who will be crowned along with Camilla, the Queen Consort, will be the 40th reigning monarch crowned there since 1066. Saturday's event will begin with a procession from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. Guests to witness the coronation will include representatives from some Commonwealth countries who will carry the flags of their country and be accompanied by the governors general and prime ministers. Some people are concerned that the new king could be losing a grip of the Commonwealth, with indications that some member countries have plans to pull out. What then does the future hold under the new king? Joining us in the studio is CEO, IA Foundation, a charity based in London, Ronke Adiagbo. Good morning. It's good to have you in the studio. And a UK-based lawyer, Femi Aino, is also here in the studio. Good morning. It's good to have you. I was thinking that you would be in London for the ceremony as well as you, but you're right here.
You got my flag here, so I'm celebrating.
You're still representing. Right. Interesting. Now let's begin with the Commonwealth. Concerns with regards to if the king can still have a grip on the Commonwealth, just like his mother did. And because there are concerns about some persons, some countries wanting to pull out. We have seen some countries done that, but we're seeing Jamaica, I think, planning a referendum on pulling out of the Commonwealth. Let me begin with you.
Okay, that's interesting times, actually. I'll say the jury is out, really. As we know, there are 56 countries in the Commonwealth, and it's a voluntary group. Yeah, it's not by fire, it's not by force. It's a voluntary group. And within those 56 countries, we have 14 realms, what we call realms, which are not republics, and the remaining of them are republics, So they are independent organizations within the Commonwealth. So they could make a decision to want to come out of the Commonwealth if they choose to want to come out of the Commonwealth. Now, some things that have just happened recently is creating a situation where there's a bit of disruption, and they are thinking, hang on, of what value? Is being part of the Commonwealth, you understand? Because the classic example is we've got the Black Lives Matters, where all of a sudden all this slavery and just those colonial imperialist issues are coming to the front burner, and because the monarch and the British government are refusing to apologize for it, people are thinking, you know what, we've had almost such a long time of the Queen being the head, and they do revere the Queen. Because she's got this grandma persona. So it's like, and the stability, she was there for a very long time. So now that, she's passed on, countries might think it's a good time to actually come out of the union, if you see what I mean. So King Charles III has got a lot of work to do to maintain, the group, the 56 countries within the group. As you already mentioned, Antigua is thinking about having a referendum. Belize as well is looking at a constitutional review, you understand, in terms of trying to make sure they can come out of it. So he's got his work cut out for him if he still wants to make sure the 56 countries remain within the Commonwealth. But it's begging a lot of questions. What is the relevance of this Commonwealth?
That's the question. Is the Commonwealth still relevant, or was the relevance of the Commonwealth, so to speak?
Yes, it is. It is still relevant, because when you consider the economic benefits of being part of the Commonwealth, most of this country, and I agree with her, when she says out of those 14 countries, there was a poll conducted just last week. 6 of them said they want to become a republic because they don't want the king as the head of state. And even without going far, going to some of these Caribbean countries, Jamaicans are saying, look, of what benefit being part of the Commonwealth? Of what benefit is the king being the head of state to us? Look at in Australia. People are asking for a referendum that they don't want the king to be the head of state. But even without stretching it too far, what of in Scotland? They are saying, look, this will be the last monarchy. And at the end of the day, the stone of destiny, which will be part of the coronation of this king tomorrow, was moved a few weeks back from Scotland to Westminster. And if you listen to Alex Salmond, the former Scottish minister, what he said is that, look, this will be the last coronation under United Kingdom because we want to go along. And you see, most of this country, they are asking that, look, they don't want the king to be the head of state, but they still want to be part of the Commonwealth because of the economic benefits. If you go to the Commonwealth Secretariat or you check their website, trade between some of these Commonwealth countries ran up to $210 billion. Even during the lockdown, when the world shut down, most of the Commonwealth countries are still trading among each other. Goods are being moved from Ghana to Togo and what have you. And one important thing about this Commonwealth is that you will see that there are some countries who have no historical or colonial link with United Kingdom, and they are still part of the Commonwealth. Mozambique, Rwanda, Togo. And if you look at this country, why are they part of the Commonwealth? Because there's an economic benefit for being part of it. But most of the countries who are saying, look, we don't want the... Even in United Kingdom, tomorrow there's going to be a coronation. You will still see some people carrying placards saying, not my king.
Yes.
We don't...
Yes. There were protests.
Yes, there will be protests tomorrow. But even though it's going to be a symbolic occasion and it's going to be a people's coronation because, you know, there's going to be oath of allegiance wherever you are in the world. Whether you are watching on television, the Archbishop of Canterbury is going to say, whoever so desire should pledge an allegiance. Yes. So they will expect you, wherever you are, whether you are watching television or whatever, that you pledge allegiance. And in the past, it used to be the aristocrat. So this is going to be a people's coronation. But for the Commonwealth, the king will still have a lot to do. Because most of these countries, they said, look, we don't want the king to be our head of state because we are deriving no benefit. Look at the Jamaicans. Part of the argument from the poll last week is that they are saying, look, we are part, they say we should be part of the Commonwealth. The king is still the head of state. But at the end of the day, we still need a visa in order to come to United Kingdom. So what are we getting? Barbados. What happened in Barbados? At least they are now a republic. Yes, because they said, look, we don't want the king. So, you know, he has his work cut out for him. And I agree that there are lots that he has to do in order to preserve the Commonwealth.
So how can he,
part of the Commonwealth,
right, how can he rework those things that we are pointing? He has to do a lot. He has a lot on his plate to addressing the matters and concerns of these countries who are saying we are not benefiting anything. So how can he rework perhaps his relationship with these countries, rework the Commonwealth such that these countries can still be a part of the Commonwealth? Because Britain has said that the Commonwealth is critical to their interest and their symbolism abroad.
Absolutely, they would say that because Britain wants to rule the world, basically. So they would say that, and I can understand why they'll say that. However, Prince Charles needs to do a lot around diplomacy. Because if you look at the history of Prince Charles, he's a very quiet and shy guy. Even in his school days, he was being bullied, you know. So, and also he doesn't have the sort of persona his mother has.
Yes.
So he needs to really work on diplomacy, you know, because that's what is going to enable him actually bring them around and for him to actually maintain the Commonwealth. Because at the moment, the way people see the monarchy, especially under his own reign, is that it's going to be a bit standoffish. Because there's a saying that charity begins from home.
Yeah.
As you know, he has a son who is rebellious at the moment. That son is married to a biracial woman. And we know the issues and challenges going on around that area.
Yeah.
So people in the Commonwealth will say, take care of your own backyard first, you know, take care of your son and your biracial daughter-in-law, make sure you guys are working in harmony before you come and harmonize the Commonwealth countries, basically. So he really, really needs to work on it. I mean, and some people personally, because they still see the history of Diana, you know, because they love Diana so much. And they would have thought tomorrow would have been a glorious day for Diana.
Her,
Unfortunately, she's been dead for so long. However, tomorrow people will remember Diana.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll feel bad.
They still haven't forgiven him.
They haven't forgiven him, you know. And some people seeing Camilla tomorrow will just bring back all the memories of Diana. And again, you know, this anger might come up. So he has a lot to do in terms of his personality, his ability to be able to, you know, be diplomatic, I would expect that even more people will want to join, because as my colleague said in the studio now, countries that are not required to join have just joined recently. Togo, Gabon, even Rwanda, just in 2022. So they must see that there's a value there. So the litmus test is that if you see more countries wanting to join voluntarily, then he must be doing something right. So he really needs to polish up on his diplomacy.
Right. For you, your perspective with regards to what he has to work on.
Well, I think he will be able to do that. This is a man who has been waiting 74 years in order to be crowned as the king. So, and that moment is going to happen tomorrow. And if you stay or you wait 74 years watching your mother as the head of state, definitely you must have learned one or two things. And now, the other problem is that, you see, the king is a ceremonial head of state.
Yes.
And even in United Kingdom, what is the alternative to the king? If the British people decide that we don't want the king, the only alternative is to have a president. And once you have a president, there will be more politicians, corruption will start, bickering here and there. So definitely at home, I don't think we have a problem. And this king, even when he was the Prince of Wales, this is the king or queen. They are not supposed to interfere in the affairs of government. They are just there as a ceremonial head of state. But King Charles, we have a situation where he's been writing letters to minister because he's concerned about environment, he's been dabbling into government policies, and there has been a lot of criticism that you are not supposed to do that. But now, so you have a king who has decided that, look, I'm going to modernize that institution. And he has started doing that. Look at the guest tomorrow. He cuts the guest list from 5,000 to 2,000. Even in 1953, when the Queen was crowned, how many members of the Commonwealth do you have? Only 8. Now there are 56. So, and he has attended some of the Commonwealth summits on so many occasions. So he knows some of the prime ministers and the head of, the president of some of these countries. So the diplomacy needs to work. And it might be able to achieve that. But some of these countries don't want to, because you see the British cultural value is fading away gradually because of modernization. Yeah. And that's going to, you will see the reflection tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. And at the end of the day, some of these countries, when they look at the bar and say, look at what happened during the slave trade, look at what happened during the colonial era, look, as things stand, we don't want you as our head of state. We want our own people to be the head of state. And that is the direction some of these countries will like to go. But even if you remove him, or you said you have a head of state, the British influence will still be there because they are well rooted in some of these countries. True. But time will tell whether that will happen or not.
All right, let's now come to the ceremony itself that's happening tomorrow. It's been 7 decades long now since we had a coronation, and that is something that a lot of persons who didn't witness the previous coronation 70 years ago will witness. Talk to us from your point of view what one should expect happen tomorrow with regards to the ceremony, the elements, that speak to what the coronation is about.
Sure. I was in London last week, so on my way coming at the airport, I was given this. So it's like, it's pomp and pride everywhere. Everywhere is in red and blue, It's all, everyone is looking forward to it. It's all celebratory. It's like once in a lifetime, you understand? So everybody is excited. There's lots of tea parties at the moment. In my son's school today, they're not having any classes. Everybody is out there wearing their British flag and having a tea party. They're having street parties and things like that. It reminds me of when the Queen was celebrating her Jubilee. Yeah. You understand? So this is like another mega Jubilee. And I'm looking forward to it because I wasn't born when we had the last coronation. So it's a really, really exciting time for all British nationals at the moment. So I'm really excited. And tomorrow I'll be glued to my TV.
Which of the elements are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to when he's going to be crowned, when he's going to sit down, they're going to put the crown on his head, you understand? I'm looking forward to that. And I'm trying to look at how the dynamics of how him and the Queen Consort, how that will work, because she is not the queen. She is a Queen Consort. So will she be coming behind him or be beside him, or, well, what role will she actually play? Because it's just a consort, if you see what I mean. So I'm interested to see that dynamics, really.
Absolutely. A lot of persons have been talking about this particular aspect, how it is going to happen. How they are going to manage this aspect with regards to she's just a queen consort, she's not a queen, what the ceremony would be. Would it be while the king is being crowned, she also will get a crown or something? I'm wondering how that is going to play.
Let me correct that, because, she's queen consort as of today. Tomorrow she will become the queen.
Really?
Because she's going to be crowned as the queen tomorrow. And you will see it as part of the ceremony. But what Nigerians or other people watching all over the world, they will see tomorrow. They will see the crowning of the king and the queen. But what they will not see is the anointing. Because, you see, this ceremony is a ceremony that dates back about thousands of years.
Yes.
And that tradition will happen tomorrow, because when the anointing is going to happen, there's going to be a canopy which will cover the king.
It's an intimate moment.
At that moment, you will not see it. Because
Why?
what is going, well, that is the tradition. And this king has said, look, whatever the case, I want people to be part of the ceremony.
He has no control over that.
But he can't control that. But the only thing he has control is that canopy, I think there's a new design that will reflect some of the things he believes in. So that's going to happen. And also, that tomorrow they will see the British tradition will be at its peak. Because even though the ceremony has been modernized, before it used to be the aristocrats, all of them will come, they will kneel before the king and pledge their allegiance. But now, the only person that will do it tomorrow is the Prince of Wales, which is the son. And then again, talking about what is going to happen between the queen, the Queen Consort, and the king. You see, because what people need to know, it is a manifestation of their love for each other, what is going to happen. Because this is the second king that is going to marry a divorcee. The one that did that before, Edward VIII, who married the American. What happened?
He abdicated.
He abdicated.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, he died in exile. You see, the British monarchy, they are, I'm sorry to use the word, hopelessly romantic in a way, because they are ready to, you see, because what is going to happen to Camilla tomorrow, which you are talking about, is the romantic gesture from the king to the consort, who will become a queen. And at the end of the day, if you look at the history of the British monarchy, and with what is happening with Prince Charles and Meghan, now, what has he done? He sacrificed his duty to the nation because of his love for Meghan. And now he said, look, if you don't want me to be part of the royal family, whatever, I just want to go on my own commercial exercise. And he's making a lot of money out of that. And there's been criticism like that your duty is to the nation, not to the person you love and what have you. And you see, and again, this king, why the woman who will become the queen tomorrow, why married to Andrew Parker Bowles, was even having an extramarital affairs with the king. So both of them, and you see, because men are the one who know where their love lies. Because even though you look at that marriage ceremony between Prince Charles and Diana, that's the best marriage ceremony you can ever think of. But despite, you will remember, and some of you will still recall, the interview granted by Diana when she said there are two of us in this marriage.
Three.
Oh, she said there are
she
three.
needed that person.
Three of us in this marriage. So the king, and then it's later transpired that Camilla has been sneaking into Buckingham Palace. And you see, so the king and the queen, they are solidly joined in the hip that at the end of the day, both of them know that, look, what is going to happen, you are going to be my wife in the long run. And surprisingly, tomorrow, the ex-husband will be there to see Parker Bowles will be there to see the first wife being crowned the king. So you see,
it's an interesting one.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
The body language will even be very interesting as well.
But if there's anything we need to say about their relationship, is that it's quite solid. Because I don't know if you are aware, they were going out before he
married.
Yeah, they were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
You know? She wasn't patient enough for him to come back from war where he went to. So that's begging a question about her loyalty, basically. But to me, that shows this is a woman he loves deeply.
Absolutely.
Because also, since they've been married, we've not had any issues whatsoever. You understand? So all those drama that was happening with Diana did not happen with Camilla. And Camilla is older than Charles. So in my opinion, I think Diana was much too young for him, you know, and he couldn't really manage her. But he's so in love with this woman, and I just think we should just let them be, really, you know.
Well, the people know that they have to let them be. It's just that tradition for them, they hold it sacred, and so have been speaking with regards to all of the issues surrounding their marriage. Another aspect of this ceremony is the procession. How it will move Westminster Abbey and all of that. Talk to us about the procession.
As I said, I wasn't born when we had the last coronation, so I've only watched it on TV.
Yeah.
But it's been a delight to watch, you know, making that journey all the way in the golden carriage, you understand? It's remarkable, you understand? And it's something I'm really looking forward to seeing tomorrow. Now, again, I don't know whether the Queen will sit with him in that golden carriage whilst they're going, you know, to Westminster. I'm not quite sure because, as you rightly said, at that point, she's still Queen Consort. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamics is going to work. Also, I'm looking forward to his robe, you know, the flowing robe that he's going to wear tomorrow. And all I can say is that, you know, it's something that is worth watching tomorrow because we don't know when next we're going to have a coronation like this, really. You know, so this is British culture at its best. At its best. Pomp and pageantry. You'll see all the military personnel in perfection. You know, they would have been practicing for ages.
Absolutely.
You know, everything will come on show tomorrow. So, you know, England is the place to be tomorrow, really.
Unfortunately, you are here in Nigeria. What are you looking forward to with regards to the procession tomorrow?
Well, at the end of the day, you know, there are about 7,000 armed forces. They are going to march all the way from Buckingham Palace to Westminster, to the cathedral where the coronation will take place. Yeah. Then the golden carriage. But I think this king has said, look, he will travel in an air-conditioned car from Buckingham Palace to the coronation. But after the coronation, he will use the golden carriage. And that golden carriage, you know, the late queen, they always describe it as very horrible for some reason, but there's nothing she can do about it. Anytime there's an opening of parliament, you know, you always see her riding from Buckingham Palace. And then, you know, at the end of the day, tomorrow, even though these things have been rehearsed, and somebody I was even reading somewhere where they said even the Queen was the King himself was in Westminster, trying to go through the rehearsal and what is going to happen. But you know, big events like this, no matter how you practice, certain things is likely to go wrong. Yeah. True. But there are people there will be an alternative plan. You know, most of the armed forces members, you know, we've seen situations where some will suddenly collapse and things. So many things is going to happen tomorrow. But at the end of the day, that will not take the moment of that occasion away. Because number one, this is the first coronation. If you witness this coronation tomorrow, what is going to happen is that you are part of history. Because, you know, looking at the members of the royal family, they always live very long. The late Queen Mother lived up to 100 years. The Queen passed away at the age of 96. Yeah. The husband passed away almost at the 100. Age of 99, or almost 100. So, you know, we don't know where the next coronation will be. So, if you have the opportunity tomorrow, if you are not, you know, Saturday is very important to us in Nigeria because it's our own birthday. We have to attend party. If you are not going to be at home, you better get somebody or get somebody to record it because you are going to be part of the history. And all right. That is the moment.
Let's quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue our conversation in this. We still have our guests in the studio talking to us about King Charles III's coronation that will be happening tomorrow. And before we went on the break, we were talking about the procession and all of it. Another interesting aspect is where the people will shout, "God save the King," which a lot of persons are also looking forward to, and where he will be taking the oath. Talk to us.
Yes, I must say, over the last couple of months, it's been really difficult for me to switch my head from saying Queen to King. You know, for starters, the national anthem had to change.
Yes.
You know, we have to insert King now instead of Queen. It took some time to get used to that. The currency is being changed now to remove the head of the Queen and to replace it with the head of Charles.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, hopefully, we've had enough rehearsal enough to be able to say, God save the King. And we don't make that mistake of saying, God save the Queen. So we're really, really looking forward to that. But because the Queen has been there for such a long time, even when Charles becomes king properly tomorrow, people will still, you know, for one thing or the other, still find it very difficult, you know, to get used to Charles the King. I mean, because my son was rehearsing the national anthem for their tea party today, and he kept on saying Queen, Queen, and I'm saying, no, it's now a king. You understand? So it will take a while, you know, and I just pray that he has long life, you understand, and we really wish him well. We really wish him well, and we pray that everything goes well under his reign.
His reign, yes. The oath is also one thing that there are those looking forward to. If you could just give us a sense of what the oath would look like, because he will be asked if you want to take the oath.
Well, he's going to take the oath because, you know, don't forget there will be a coronation Bible tomorrow.
Yeah.
You Nigerians, those watching on TV will see the coronation here. And then there's going to be an oath. And the oath of allegiance or whatever it is, the oath is just to show a sense of duty to the nation in accordance with the law. And at the end of the day, you know, that is the tradition, and you can't go behind that. Because don't forget, everything in the UK, so many things revolve around the monarchy.
Yes.
And that is why most people are asking for reform. Number one, once you are the king or you are the queen, nobody can take legal action against you because you are the owner of the court. And if you go into any court now, they say it used to be Her Majesty Court Service. Now it's King, His Majesty, it's King Court Service. So, you know, so they are so powerful. You can sue the crown because the crown is an institution, but you can't personally take legal action against them. You can't even invite them to come and give evidence in court because, you know, you will recall there was when Princess Diana died, they charged the butler to court, and there was an issue whether the queen should be invited. But at a point, she said, look, most of these items, they were not stolen because the butler actually told her that she would be hiding some things to avoid them being stolen. And the moment they heard that, Prince Charles actually called the court and the trial was aborted. So, you see, that is the way it was. Look at, she said the currency has been changed, yes. What about the stamp?
Yes.
The stamp people have been using the last 70 years. They have to change it now so that they remove the head of the queen and put the king. So, you see, because they are well entrenched as an institution in everything in the UK, to the extent that no matter what you do, you can't easily forget about them. And tomorrow, now, most people, they want to identify with this occasion because the last queen, she reigned for so long. You will recall at a point there was an argument whether she should abdicate so that the king tomorrow can just take it over. But she won't have none of that. But, well, now she's no longer with us, and wherever she is, we wish her well. But whatever the case, that is life. And tomorrow is going to be a new beginning. Don't forget, since the king, by the Sovereign Council, proclaimed Charles as the king when the late queen passed away. I think that was last year. So what we are just having tomorrow is the ceremony. Ceremony has always been king, and people are getting used to that. And you will see, and even when people talk about Camilla, you will see now that this is a woman, people are even praising her for having been able to change Prince Charles. You will see, if you look at the photographs now, he really looked like a king. Unlike in the past, he hardly smile, he hardly interact, he dabble into issues.
Perhaps he knows he's holding a position of authority now, and so has to be friendly in his approach,
it goes
in his
beyond
outlook,
that, but
and all of that.
don't forget, for you to be that successful and have a change of personality, you still need a good woman behind you.
Absolutely.
So, and if you look at the interview granted by Queen Camilla's son, he said that, look, King Charles is now marrying the person he really loved. And that is the issue. And that's what is going to happen. And as part of that love, tomorrow, a consort will become a queen. And the United Kingdom will gradually get used to that.
Yeah, and to add to that, she actually took charge of organizing all this coronation.
Yes.
She had her fingerprints on everything.
Everything.
Yes,
So she is really in charge. She's running the palace.
All right. Now, the anointing is said to be the most delicate aspect of tomorrow's ceremony. And the question is, why so? Why is this part the most delicate aspect?
I mean, if we look at it from a religious perspective, even in the Bible, when they anoint someone as a prophet, it's a very symbolic and very important. It's very divine, you understand? Because even though we see it as them as royalty and the monarchy, but there's something divine about their role, you understand? So this is where, in my opinion, this is the divine element of it, where they are being anointed. And to me, I see that as something which God has ordained. This is something God he's been ordained
putting
to
a
do.
seal.
Yeah, on it. So this is the spiritual element, in my opinion, of it, by putting the anointing, just like the way Samuel went to anoint the first king of Israel. So I see the two, and the analogy between the two as the same. And that is why they tend to conceal that part of it, because it is very revered, very spiritual session of the whole coronation ceremony.
Even though you will not see the anointing, but what happened under the canopy is that that is the moment where when the Archbishop of Canterbury will formally anoint the king and hand the king, there is a sword, I forgot what the name is called. That's when it will be handed over. And that is the symbol of the authority, that you are now the king. Because you see, when you look at the United Kingdom is a sovereign state that is made up of 4 individual countries, the England, the Scots, the Welsh, and the Northern Ireland. And the royal family, despite them being respected and living in a grace and favor accommodation, they have had their own downfall, like all of us. Some of you will still recall, look, Prince Charles divorced, Prince Andrew divorced, Princess Anne divorced. The only one that is still in marriage is Prince Edward. Edward, yes. Is the one who is still there. You will still recall what happened in 1992 when the Queen herself said, look, it has been an annus horribilis, because it has been a horrible year for her. You know, so there are so many issues. You will recall the burglary at Buckingham Palace. You will recall the hostility against the royal family when Princess Diana passed away. You will still recall that, look, it takes the British public to force the Queen and the royal family to come out and inspect all the flower lake here and there. So there are so many issues. So this king, there are a lot of persuasion and acceptance. Whatever happens tomorrow, that the king needs to engage in, so that people will accept him. Although that acceptance is gradually coming up now, you will see a lot of street party happening. There will be royal coronation concert. There's going to be coronation dinner. There is a special cake and something where they said, oh, this is what is going to be for the coronation. And there are a lot of people who will still make money tomorrow because there's economic benefit.
Of course.
Souvenirs left, right, and center, photographs here and there. So it's a very big occasion, and I'm happy to be around to witness the first coronation.
And our own Tiwa Savage will be part of the coronation concert.
Yes.
So that's really good.
Yes, and that is it.
Now, the other aspect of that ceremony is the crowning, which the crown itself has been mired in controversy for some time now with regards to the jewel, the Kohinoor, and all of that. And there are those who have even requested that it should be returned. It should be returned. I'm wondering how you see all of the controversies surrounding that crown, and perhaps that coming to play tomorrow?
Yeah, the crown is extremely expensive, as we know, because there's lots of diamonds in there. It's very interesting that Britain does not have, they don't produce any diamond, but yet in that crown, the number of diamonds in there is unbelievable, you understand? And there's always this thing about, you know, the British took lots of artifacts from other countries. Even recently, they just returned some to Benin, you understand? And there's this protest going on that they should try and return all those artifacts they took. It's begging the question for me that why take somebody else's stuff? However, yes, we've got the crown, they've got all the diamonds there, but it would be nice if they can recognize and appreciate the countries where those diamonds came from, whilst obviously crowning the king, so they can feel part of it. So they don't feel as if they've been deprived of what they own. You know, you've taken their diamonds, you're using it to crown your king, and you're not recognizing where those diamonds come from. So it would be nice if they can recognize the countries where those diamonds came from. For you.
And it even goes beyond that, because if you look at the history of the British, and some of these stolen items has always been part of their history. Look at the Stone of Destiny that's going to be used tomorrow. That will be under the coronation share. And that coronation share has been there since 1300. Maybe this will be the last king who will sit on that coronation share, because they said it's going for repair and this. And the crown, which you talk about, even somebody said the one that will be placed on the Queen's head tomorrow, in 1953, it cost about 7,000. Today it's about 7.5 million pounds. So, you know, and the crown, which will be placed on the king, the Indians are saying it should be returned to us. And they'll be agitating for that, look, this belongs to us, it doesn't belong to you. Even that Stone of Destiny, why was it returned in 1996 to Scotland? Because they said in 1296 it was stolen from the Scots by the British king. So that is why the British decided it should be returned to Edinburgh Castle. And then, but anytime you want to do your coronation, since it's been part of the tradition, we can return it to you. You use it, then you return it back. So you see, these are the issues there. And most of those countries, I do agree with my sister that, look, we need to recognize them. And they need to pay, anytime you are going to have occasions of this nature, they need to play a significant role, taking account of the fact that there are some element of something that belongs to them that is part of the ceremony. And that is the way to go. And I think that is something the king will reflect upon. And don't forget also, there are some people who have been arguing that this king should say sorry for what has happened in the past. You know, there are lots of people agitating that this will be an important occasion to apologize. But having said that, there is an alternative argument that, look, once you say sorry, then you are creating a fertile ground for people to start asking for compensation. So there is argument for and against, but let's see how it plays out.
You should know how to strike a balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And people need closure. And the fact that you say sorry doesn't make you a smaller person. You understand? Because Prince Williams and Kate went to the Caribbean in June, and they stopped short of saying sorry. They said, we express sorrow. What does that mean? That doesn't mean sorry. The fact that you express sorrow about slavery, it doesn't mean sorry. Sorry is not that difficult to say. But I don't even think they will be the one to say sorry. I think it would be very magnanimous of the king to say sorry and, in my opinion, repair the relationship between his younger son, Harry, and Meghan. You understand? If he can do that, honestly, he would win himself lots of favors.
I think that's one important aspect of the ceremony tomorrow, the families. How it is that they will have to come together with regards to this occasion now, how it is that he can bring them together, see how there is some level of cohesion among them.
He gave her away. He gave her away for crying out loud, you know. He was, you know, so they should be able to repair that relationship. And if he can do that, honestly, people would appreciate him. For black people, will appreciate him for that, basically.
Interesting.
And the king, well, it's going to be some sort of a family occasion. But they've tried as much as possible to manage the sitting arrangement so that, you know, this conflict within that family doesn't overshadow the occasion tomorrow. because don't forget, Prince Harry is going to be there, but within 24 hours, once they finish the crowning, he's leaving. Because, you know, the children's birthday is coming up and what have you. But the wife will not be there because they say she has to stay behind and look after the children. It's just part of, and then you publish a book, and that book has caused so many offenses among the family members. So, you know, there will be some cold shoulder tomorrow, and there will be people, there will be eye rolling as well, because they will try as much as possible just to stay off, not to create. And the media, that will be the main focus.
They will
be fixed on that. Yeah. So knowing that well, that's why the sitting arrangement, it has been arranged in such a way so that they stay very far from each other. And if Prince Harry wants to leave, they position the seat very close to the door so that he can just leave. So there are so many things that has happened behind the scenes so as to avoid any ugly or issues occasions to happen.
But with that book, because that book was expository, if you read it, I'm wondering if they can ever resolve this matter with that book he wrote.
Sure, and it's not just the book; it's also the interview with
Oprah.
Yes. You know, that really damaged the relationship, fractured the relationship. But the way I look at it is, even in the Bible, you've got the prodigal son. Yeah. The son came back. Prince Charles has not only got 2 sons. If in his lifetime he cannot resolve those 2 sons to become amicable, then it begs the question what type of king he is. How can you unite the country if you cannot unite just the 2 children you have? No, without a doubt, Harry, in my opinion, has done some things I don't think he should do to his family. He's been very unfair to his family. Really? I'm sure he's...
When you say unfair, how do you mean?
I mean... Every family has got their family secret, yeah? Not every family see eye to eye. But it is not in your place to go wash your dirty lineage in public. You resolve it within your family, within the 4 walls of your family. However, because Meghan is American, the way she does her things is different, and she's lived in the public light's eye. So she's like, she sees all her things should be in the open. He should be the one, he is the husband. Even though Meghan is older than him, he should be the one to say, you know what? This is me. I'm part of this royal family. I'm not going to go and wash my dirty lineage in public. Whatever we have, we resolve it amongst us. He should be giving Meghan that lead. But it's the other way around. Meghan is the one.
You think so?
I mean, we can say. I mean, the Queen. You saw the way the Queen handled all these issues. Look at when Andrew had his issues in America. The Queen had to pay so that he doesn't have to go to court because she can't afford all that dirty lineage to be washed in public in court. She's not silly. You know, some things are best kept quiet. People settle out of court for a reason. You understand? So no matter the issues Harry was having with his family, he should not let his wife lead him down the way he's gone. I just think it's unfair on the family. And ever since then, things were, because his grandfather and his grandmother love him to bits, you know, and the grandfather passed on, the grandmother passed on, and I don't know how he is feeling at the moment. Because I think with hindsight, you'll be thinking, is this the best decision? But Charles, as king now, should be magnanimous, bring the 2 boys together, settle them, make sure they're amicable, to make sure, because we don't know how long he's going to live. And William will be king. So he needs to resolve that issue for him to give himself credibility. Because if you look at what the Queen did, very cleverly, because as you know, within the Commonwealth, it is not hereditary. Becoming the head of state in the Commonwealth is not hereditary. They need to vote. The Commonwealth countries need to vote. The Queen made sure in 2018 they voted for Charles to become the head of the Commonwealth before she died in her lifetime. Because she doesn't want a situation when she passes on, they then rebel against him and he doesn't become the head. She was being smart. So he needs to do the same thing now. Resolve his 2 sons and make sure they all live as one big happy family.
Right. Your final words on this conversation.
Well, my final word is that I'm happy to be part of history tomorrow. And at the same time, I want a royal family that is united. And there are certain things, that is an institution. You can't bring the institution down. We have to be very careful. That is why, you know, I'm not so happy with Prince Harry for leaking the secret, publishing things, granting all this interview. Because there are some people that they hold that institution very dear to their heart. And if you do anything, look, and it's in his interest to make sure they settle the rift. Because one day, Prince William is going to become the king. And once he becomes the king, you have your own children, He might just say, look, you are not part of the royal family. He can take us this sort of action. But I hope once the king and the ceremony is over, the king will step in and the rift will be settled and they can move on.
All right, that's a fine place to leave our conversation this morning.